Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to revise chapter number 9, Media Then and Now. So let's begin straight away from the first page itself, that is page number 75. So let's begin from the literary appreciation. That's the first part of it. So first of all, let's look into what's given in for us. We have 10 questions from the introductory side. So we move on to the literary appreciation, factual writing. That's what they are asking. So what is factual writing? Factual writing is writing about an event in a chronological order or series without using or giving personal opinions of the writer. So let's come off in the warm-up section. We don't have much, so let's go on to the cross-curricular section. From here, what do we have? Let's see. When did cameras start appearing in history? The camera's history dates back to the Middle Ages. So it's given here, dates back to the Middle Ages with the pinhole camera. The pinhole camera as the very first ones. So who discovered the idea of camera obscura? A physicist by the name of Alhazen was the first to discover the idea which led him to create the pinhole camera. So what is camera obscura? What is its use? Camera obscura is reproducing an image with color and perspective preserved. So this is what camera obscura is. It is about reproducing an image with color and perspective preserved. So that's it. Who took the first photograph? So it's given here. The first photograph was taken by Nicephore Niepce. So that is the name is French. Therefore, a little pronunciation. It's Joseph. Here you have the name here. It's Joseph Nicephore Niepce. So that's the name, the French inventor. When did photography begin in large scale? So photography started in large scale when George Eastman presented his first camera, and he was the first to use celluloid film. So the first one to use celluloid film in his camera. Now these a little more general questions there are. So what do you understand by the word media? Since we are talking about media then and now, what is the word? What does the word media mean? Media means the main means of mass communication, which includes broadcasting, publishing, and the internet altogether. So the main tools used to deliver information or data, that's media. So what are the different types of media? Modern media comes in many different formats, including print media. In print media, we have books, magazines, and newspapers. Newspaper is a very strong media. Television, then comes movies, then comes video games, then music. These are all media. Cell phones, media again. So various kinds of software and the internet. So these are media. And then we have the newest forms. So what is the new media? Which includes websites, blogs, emails, social media networks, music and television streaming services. Now there are virtual and augmented and reality, etc. Then what is the effect of media in our life? So media is considered as the best source to know about what is happening in the world around through the various tools of media. It greatly affects our lives because media has the power to influence our thoughts. Now this influence may be sometimes positive and sometimes negative. So what is the role of the media? Media plays an important role in society as a source of information and also as a watchdog or scrutinizer. But the media is free to select the stories they consider important or interesting according to them. So media plays like a watchdog. It's very important. If good media has to give facts to the public and not to hide secrets or keep away facts from the people. They should put in facts and let the people know. Let the people decipher them for themselves. Now, after the general question, let's move on to page number 76 for the revision of the lesson itself. So we begin from here. And the first word here is evolved. What is the meaning of evolved? Evolved means developed or progressed. So what is Instagram? On the first line of the first lessons first, Instagram is a social networking platform, or it's an app for your smartphone that you can use to keep up with friends and family. Now, what are Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. together known as? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter together are known as social media brands or social networking platforms. Now, what are the different types of social media platforms? We did talk about that earlier. Social networking like Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Then microblogging. We have Twitter, Tumblr, etc. Then we have photo sharing, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest. Then we have video sharing like YouTube, Facebook Live, then Periscope, Vimeo, etc. So these are the different types of social media platform. What does it mean by binging? You have the word over here, binging. The word binging, what does it mean on a web series? So binging on a web series means watching multiple episodes of a TV web series over a short period of time. Now we use the word by saying I have binged through the series in a single day, or I have binged through the series which was supposed to be around two years. It would have taken 2 years, and I have done it within a week. So how does media exploit us? Now we see here that they are talking about media exploitation. So how does media exploit us? The media exploits us by exploiting our thirst for stories and makes us sit in front of TV screens for hours together. That is called media exploitation. Now fill in the blanks. The history of media is same as the history of storytelling itself. Here you have it. Now how did the idea of media come into being? By humanity's desire. How did it come into being? By humanity's desire to share a story with as many people as possible. So that's the answer. What was mankind's first intellectual pursuit? Cave art was mankind's first intellectual pursuit. So he made pictures on the walls. What was the medium used for communication then? The walls in the cave was the communicating place or the idea. What is considered as a precursor to media as we know it today? A precursor means a substance from which another is formed. So precursors to media. What is considered as a precursor to media? This was considered what? The wall writings were considered as the precursor to media. How long did it take mankind to put these ideas on paper? It took thousands of years. You can see that here. It took thousands of years for mankind to evolve or bring in all these changes. When and where was paper? You can see it on the last line. When and where was paper invented? Paper was invented in China in about 100 BC. So we move on to the next page. And when was the first printing press and by whom was it built? So when was the first printing press built and by whom was it built? The first printing press was built by Johannes Gutenberg after 1500 years of the invention of paper. Now, what was the first mass media? The first mass media was paper itself. The first mass media was Gutenberg's, of course. The first mass media was Gutenberg's printing press. Why was the actual audience for the medium of books very limited? The actual audience for the medium of books were very limited because still there was illiteracy and only the elite could read, or the rich or the elite group were the people who could afford uh, buying newspapers or could read or even. So when did the first newspapers appear? The first newspapers appeared by the early 17th century. So you can see here, early 17th century, the first newspapers appeared. Why was readership limited during the early 17th century? Because of lack of literacy during these period. There was lack of literacy and readership was therefore limited. So what is said to be the direct ancestors of the modern newspapers? The handwritten news sheets, popular in Venice as early as 1566. So this was where the direct ancestors of the modern newspaper. Where was the first modern newspaper printed and when? In Germany in 1609. So after this we have name the first major newspaper ever printed, the Times of London. How did newspaper become cheaper, or what method brought down the prices of newspapers? The prices was brought down by they had already found out how paper pulp could be made. So this was one, and in the next page we have, it's here, the next page, this brought down the cost of paper. So when paper started printing on both sides of a page, newspapers became cheaper. So when it started printing on both the sides, it became cheaper. What further reduced the costs of newspapers? So what further reduced? The invention of wood pulp paper making reduced the cost of newsprint. Which medium had a widespread and loyal audience? The newspaper were the ones that had a widespread and loyal audience. How do we know that the people now eagerly waited for the newspapers? Because now they couldn't wait to get their hands on a fresh or copy of the newspaper early mornings, and they couldn't wait to read the news of the world. So who were the first audience of the news? These people were the first captive media audiences who had become addicted to news. What was the first major change after the invention of printing of newspapers? The introduction of photos. So that was the first thing that happened after newspapers came in. What was the first photo to be used in newspaper stories? So it was a picture of barricades in Paris during an uprising on 25th June 1848. Why were photos used initially? To enhance the story. So it was used to enhance the story. What do you mean by standalone pictures? So what was this? Standalone pictures were were great images with no major stories attached to it. It was just pictures given. Why was photography a cumbersome activity in the initial years of its invention? Cumbersome means slow or complicated and therefore inefficient activity. So slow moving, difficult to handle. That was the photography at that stage. So it was in the developing stage and it was very cumbersome, very slow, very inefficient, and it took time. A lot of time was consumed in photography at that time. So why is it hard to imagine of those cumbersome tasks of photography today? Because we live in an age of instant selfies. Why is it difficult? Because we live in an age where we have instant selfies. Name the first war photographer. So the first war photographer was Roger Fenton. Roger Fenton was the first war photographer. So which war did he photograph? The Crimean or the Crimean War. So who laid the groundwork for modern photojournalism? Roger Fenton. He was the one. Write a brief note on Roger Fenton, or write a brief note on photojournalism, how it started, who was instrumental, etc. So I hope you can do that after reading this paragraph. So whose photograph shocked the Americans? Matthew Brady's, the last line, Matthew Brady's photographs of the US Civil War shocked Americans. What did he photograph? The US Civil War. Now we come on to the next page. So here we have motion pictures or moving pictures came into being in the year 1895. Who gave the first public demonstration of the moving pictures and where? The Lumiere brothers gave the first demonstration of moving pictures in Paris. What funny thing happened when people witnessed the first moving pictures of a train? So, when people witnessed the first moving pictures of a train, they were shocked and many ran away. Many of them ran away from the theatre. How is the film industry faring today? It is a multi-billion-dollar industry today. So, it's faring very well. Who invented the radio? Marconi was the inventor of the radio. We have the name here. Marconi was the inventor of the radio. What kind of medium was the radio? It was still recently the most popular form of mass media or mass communication. What is the biggest advantage of radio? That literacy of the audience is not a factor for its spread. So literacy is not a factor that hinders or not a hindrance for its spread. How is radio still popular in some parts of India? So it's because of the huge number of illiterate people in concentrations like villages, etc. So what is the medium the government uses to spread awareness about its welfare schemes? The radio. Of course, the radio. When did the radio's popularity get a big hit or setback? The radio's popularity took a big hit when television sets started entering the living rooms. So when did TV infiltrated in most homes in the West? In the 1950s. What is the most popular form of the mass media today? TVs, of course. What are the real competitors to the television? The real competition or competitors to the television is the internet and social media. Where was the origin of the internet? The internet, the origin can be traced back to 1965. So when the engineers at Massachusetts Institute of Technology made communication between computers possible. So what is the full form of, we'll come to the next page, ARPANET. What is the full form? ARPANET is a communication system developed by the US military in 1969. So this was the US military's contribution. And the full form of ARPANET is Advanced Research Projects Agency Network. Advanced Research Projects Agency Network. Who developed HTML? The Tim Berners-Lee developed the Hypertext Markup Language, that is HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, so which allowed people to navigate the internet. What is the full form of WWW? WWW, that is World Wide Web. It's given here. Then along with the birth of internet, what else took place? Along with the rise of the internet, the social media phenomenon started. What is the newest and most influential media today? The social media, of course. What is traditional media? The traditional media is the radio and TV. Who controls the radio and TV? They are mostly controlled by powerful people. So we come on to the next page now. Here we have what are some important social media milestones. So you'll have to go through all this. Please go through all this and memorize some of it because these are important. And if they ask you or fill in the blanks, you can use it. You can write the answers to that. So now we come on. What are the advantages of the internet? The most important advantage of the internet is it's most influential not controlled by people in power. It has far more democratic in nature, people to people nature of the medium than the contents created and consumed by the user itself. So it's the user who creates the social media platform, and it's the user who consumes it also. So both created and consumed by the user. So that's very important. What is the single most revolutionary aspect of the internet? It's given in the last line here. Single most revolutionary aspect of the that its contents are created and consumed by the user itself. Name some of the platforms today. So we turn on to the next one. Some of the platforms today that are there: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc., Instagram, etc. Who generates the material for these platforms? It's the user who generates the material for these. They create the contents of these platforms. What exactly makes these platforms popular? The interactive aspect of these platforms makes them popular. So, what does viral mean? Here's the word viral. Who can become viral on internet? Viral means something that is circulated widely and rapidly from one internet user to another. Anybody can become viral today. What is the most unique form of mass media? Social media is the most unique one. What are the advantages of social media? So it helps one build his brand, and we can share, retweet. There is an increased brand recognition and repin, then more opportunities to convert, decreased marketing costs, so that comes down, better search engine rankings, access to news and information and decision making. So the all these makes the internet very very popular, and it makes the social media also very popular. So what are the advantages of social media? People, individual getting addicted to their screens. The social media landscape changes rapidly, and users fear being left out. Now these are the, we move on to the next page. What should we as responsible individuals realize? That we should not replace social media with the real world. So what does a good part of the human race try to do? They try hard to meet the end needs, and they are the ones who live outside the glossy world. So they should try and live as normal human beings. So what should we as responsible individuals realize? They must try to meet the ends need, and they must try to come out of the glossy world and live in a real world. So what are the precautions one has to take to prevent getting addicted to social media? How to kick off or to detox. So that is what here you can see in the picture. He's using WhatsApp, YouTube. This one is using some other platform. Here's they are seeing pictures, and this fellow is also either tweeting or doing something on some other app. So all of them busy in their apps. Nobody has time for another next person. So that's not good. So what should we do? We must digitally detox. So social media distancing is now very necessary for all of us, because we have been along with the social distancing, we must have social media distancing also. So we must find, like this woman walking in the greenery, walking in the natural or in nature's bed, and here the person traveling along, going globe trotting. So this is what we need to do. I applied social distancing to social media, and now my mind and body are safe. So that's it, the message for you from today, and I hope you'll be preparing yourself for this class. Thank you.